What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. So test 2 of the South African tour has just finished and the Boks have drawn it level, and I would probably say a bit against the head. It's been a really exciting game. There's a lot of build up around this one. There's been all sorts of things with managers and coaches doing videos and arguing about whether the referees were going to be biased. There was a lot of background stuff going in, but if you want to say stuff, you've got to be able to back it up with the impact on the pitch, and South Africa is certainly doing it. Going into this game, I think most people would have expected South Africa to just throw everything at this game, absolutely everything they could. There's no reason. They had nothing to lose now, everything to gain. So to me, this game was either going to be a bit of an inching towards the Lions, or it would end up being a South Africa domination. And the first half that got underway, we certainly didn't sort of see it going that way. It seemed to be the Lions in control, and then South Africa just smashing it at the end, having a superb second half from them. So as we do in these review videos, I will of course chuck the game events here. And there's quite a bit to talk through. It's mainly going to be this first half. We might even shift up how we do this a little bit, because there wasn't quite that many events to talk about. But we will run through it. So starting off with the first half. It was a bit of a shaky start for the Lions. The handling errors were certainly there from the offset. Even for the rest of the game, they didn't really get better. I think they had something like 13 handling errors by the end of the game, which is a lot for an international game of rugby. So really you'd be expecting it to be better. And within the first minute, we got to see a South Africa penalty, and that was going to set us up really for where this game was going to end up going. Mako Vunapola not rolling away after a tackle. You know, they're very easy to give. The referee wanted the fast play. We saw it in that first game. They haven't changed their style. They're going to put it in again, probably for the third test as well. South Africa managing to kick to the corner, but the Lions managing to defend that maul. So it looked like they were going to be able to deal with a lot of the physicality the South Africa pack brought. And they managed to sort of have a bit of a scuffle, we could say, which of course we had the referee come over. Gave it from the early onset, 2 minutes in, fighting and, you know, rough and tumble or whatever you want to call it. It's going to result in penalties being awarded, cards being awarded if it got that way. So nice to see them set down from the early basis. They didn't want to have too many fights, even though that mattered not at all. We saw plenty in this game of people pushing each other and shoving each other. There wasn't a single penalty given for people pushing and shoving after that initial warning. It was more just harsh words going. There was then another penalty in the 3rd minute, which was kicked over by Pollard. That was Tyg Furlong for being offside. So that first 5 minutes really was looking the South Africa way from the offset. From the sort of 5-minute marker, we got to see the Lions try and get back on top. A tactic they kept using was this sort of chip over the top kicking tactic, and I'm just not sure if I'm a fan of this. The Lions didn't really seem to have it work well. It does remind me an awful lot of what Wales do, and seeing Dan Biggar being the majority of the kicks being taken from him, you know, you maybe want to see it going there, but with neither of the centres coming from Wales, neither of the wingers coming from Wales, it made no real sense to have someone trying this technique. You've got the ex-Wales manager with the Wales fly half, and no one really joining up to him. There was about 4 or 5 chip kicks I saw in at least that first 15 minutes, and I don't think a single one got back into Lions possession. They were a little bit lucky that South Africa handling wasn't the best. It did generate a penalty eventually. Vice, I believe it is, not Weiss, as I think I called him in the preview video, gave away a penalty for a tackle no arm, so Biggar managed to kick that as a nice little penalty, drew it to 3-all. South Africa managed to regather their own kickoff in the 10th minute, and it just became ferocious. It's just got to be the best word. The next 5 minutes was just all-out aggressive attack coming from South Africa, just smashing into players. But the Lions' defence just met ferocity with ferocity. Some superb tackles coming in. Double tackles being taken as well. There was a big element being used by Warren Gatland inside. The 2-men tackles, because they know the size and the power of a lot of the South African pack. It was just smashing each other in the face. Eventually, Lions did manage to get a penalty, which I think was a little harsh. It was given against Mapimbi, I believe, for not releasing the player. I think they got a little bit lucky there. I think that was a bit harsh on South Africa. The compound error kicked in eventually then, just after that kick was taken, for another penalty, Lions penalty for South Africa being offside, after they kicked up the field, and Dan Biggar managed to get another successful penalty there. It wasn't that much longer. It was only about 2 minutes later. South Africa had their next chance for a penalty themselves. Lions holding on to the ball. Conor Murray in this game, it was a big talking point for me. I said there was no reason to replace Ali Price with Conor Murray for this game, and I completely stand by that. Conor Murray in this game was so slow getting to every breakdown, jogging over. You could see the forwards looking round for him, wondering where he was. It took so much time. There was a good 3 or 4 penalties in this game where Conor Murray could have just got to the ball and was just sort of lingering. The box kicking, I don't think, was brilliant from Conor Murray in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if for game 3 we see Ali Price going back in there. Pollard missing that kick, unfortunately, so it remained relatively simple scores there. In the 21st minute, we saw Steph du Toit coming off, which was such a shame. Quagga Smith coming on, who had a good game. Actually, I haven't got too many negatives to talk about Quagga Smith. But Steph du Toit taking a big hit earlier on. Duhan van der Merwe on a sort of dump tackle, not quite. He was a bit of a pickup, but dropping on his arm. Duhan van der Merwe certainly being very aggressive in this game for almost no reason. A lot of very silly mistakes. Couldn't really get his hand on the ball. Wasn't winning aerial battles. I don't think he had the best game for him. And that was compounded again by Duhan van der Merwe getting his own yellow card. Tripping Colby on the run. You could argue he was trying to kick the ball. I think it's a bit outrageous to claim he was ever attempting to kick that ball. It was very far away. Clearly kicking the leg of Colby. Warranted the yellow card. I do think Colby made a bit of a meal out of what happened. You know, these are rugby players. They get hit all the time by giant lads. Having a little love tap on your ankle probably doesn't warrant medics being brought on to look at your ankle. But at the same time, still a trip, still a yellow card, obvious foul play, no reason at all. So I think the yellow card, absolutely warranted against Duhan van der Merwe. Only 2 minutes later, Cheslin Colby getting his own yellow card, taking Conor Murray out in the air. I did think he was a little lucky here to not get away with a red card. I thought most benefits of this tackling in the air situation, a yellow and red card can be so distinctive for different reasons. Colby, the thing I think saved him in this one was that he didn't take his eyes off the ball, but at no point did he jump for the ball. He was in no contest for the air for the ball and completely hit the feet of Conor Murray, who then landed on his shoulder. Again, I do think Conor Murray maybe put a bit into it to try and land more towards his shoulder and his head without trying to injure himself too much. But I think we've certainly seen red cards come for less in terms of tackle in the air. I think he might have got away a little bit lucky with that one. But at least it drew it a little bit level. There was 14 man apiece then going into the half-hour mark. Bang on the half-hour mark, there was another South Africa penalty. Stuart Hogg not releasing. Unfortunately, Stuart Hogg is moving to the days of old for Scotland. Whether he's forgotten to pass or forgotten how to counter-attack, I'm not sure which is which. Stuart Hogg really off his game in this one. The aerial battles for him were poor for most of the game. And the penalty he gave away there for not rolling away, he literally received the ball with a good 5 or 6 seconds of time to think about what he wanted to do. Just ran into a tackle on his own, no one supporting him, completely holding on to the ball. A really silly manoeuvre. And of course, you can see on the board here, there was another penalty success from Pollard. Easy 3 points. Very bizarre decision making from Stuart Hogg. Compounding again, the Lions managing to get their own penalty, that was Mapimpi going beyond the player. Again, I thought that was a bit harsh on Mapimpi. I think the referee was penalised him for an awful lot in this game. The Lions kicked a corner, not posts, which was a big call. The first line out was a fail on that one. Stolen by Mostert, who was brilliant in this game. The lock department for South Africa in this game. Really, really good. The Lions did manage to push South Africa over their own try line. Got themselves a scrum, managing to do well at the scrum. The ball going wide. And the chip kick again from Biggar. Got over the line. Henshaw did manage to catch it, but dropped the ball. A great rip from Sia Khaleesi. Saw that try disallowed, which was a shame from him. There was a penalty already given for Mbonabi, I'm pretty sure, was the one who gave a no-arms tackle earlier on. And a penalty was given, and Biggar went for the penalty towards the post, which he got successfully. Great, there's a 3 points. But I do wonder why, for some reason, they had almost the very similar position, chance for 3 points, and they went for the corner the first time round, and then when it didn't go well, they just went for the posts. You think you'd want to try and push for that, but they did manage to get it, and they went in at half-time 9-6 up. And a couple of talking points about this first half. The Lions really, to me, seemed in control. They were winning the defensive battle. The aerial battle was not terrible for them. South Africa still not there with the handling in terms of the aerial battle. The set pieces looked really good. The line-out was absolutely solid for the Lions in this first half. Neither team really using any of the backs, which is still a shame. Just these forward smashing, which we'll get onto a little bit later, why that made such an impact. And finally, there were no tackles missed at all in that first half by the Lions. So the Lions' defensive effort was brilliant. They were on the front foot. They were winning so many different areas of the game. And in all honesty, I really thought it was just going to trickle over to be a Lions win. But one of the big things I think was going to be that first mention there. Neither team using the backs. And one of the first things coming into this game that I was a little worried about, the 5-3 split on the bench for the Lions compared to the 6-2 split from the South African team. That we saw in the World Cup being utilised so well, using the forwards, playing brilliantly. And I would have thought with the South African setup to have more forwards, one of the worst things the Lions could do was try and match them in physicality and forwards, and instead use the backs more to try and use the speed elements they have and not tire out their own forwards. And this entire game just felt like two teams trying to outmuscle each other. And while it worked in that line-out, we sort of saw the cracks coming in the scrum towards the end of that first half. And unfortunately, as you can see by the board, it only gets worse from here, ladies and gentlemen. So in the second half, there's not going to be a great deal to talk about in terms of this. It's just sort of all South Africa, but we'll have a quick run through of this. So South Africa win a penalty in the scrum very early on. This is within the first 2 minutes of this second half kicking off, and it's easy to see this is where it was going to go. As soon as that first scrum begins to just collapse, they're going to be able to start utilising it now. You knew that was going to be a chained effect. It's very hard to go back on once the referee is seeing you can't compete at the scrums, that you're going to somehow be able to win. The first try of the game didn't come till the 45th minute. Mapimpi getting a fantastic little try. South Africa on a great attack. That fantastic setup that they have now in scrums, winning them penalties, really gave them a boost. And we just saw it coming in. The great attack, great passing play I've got written down here. The passing was superb from them. Faf de Klerk much quicker from the back of the ruck than we saw in the first game. And then finally they entered their own cross-chip game, just kicking the ball over the top by Pollard. Mapimpi catching the ball, beating two defenders. Not great to see him beating two defenders there and getting over for the try. The conversion was missed from Pollard, which was awkward. I mean, Pollard should really be kicking those. He missed two from almost the exact same position in this game. He still won't be too happy with his kicking game. But this is where it begin to get away from them a little bit, I think. Lions did manage to get a penalty back in the 50th minute for Quagga Smith ripping off the ground again. I feel harsh. I feel like the referee actually gave Lions a really good chance to get back into this game. They just didn't really do anything. Hogg was in the air for a good 4 or 5 seconds, held up by 3 players, and apparently wasn't a maul. I thought was really harsh. I really thought Quagga Smith did very well there. Dan Biggar did miss the penalty, so I guess from a South African perspective, for any South African subscribers watching, you'll probably think, that just deserves there. And the 50 to 57th minute, we just got to see really the downfall of the Lions. The Lions struggling in every single aerial contest. They're just not winning anything. South Africa really saw that area was going wrong for them. A lot of high balls really being utilised well. Ken Owens missing the first line out he threw was stolen. There was a bit of a switch up in the South African back row. We saw, I believe it was Mostert moved to the second row, and then De Jager came on. There was a whole sort of switch up in their back row, which I need to probably talk to a South African a little bit more about why that sort of utility works so well for them. But as soon as that switch came in, that back row, absolutely solid. They just dominated lineouts from that sort of 60th minute. And it absolutely moved itself forward. Lukhanyo Am in the 61st minute getting the second try of the game. South African maul from that lineup. They just started winning every line, and that maul gained a good 30 metres or so. Owen Farrell had come on for Biggar at this point, which to me made no sense. They weren't winning the aerial battles, and to me, Biggar is far better in the air than Farrell. Farrell came on and just immediately just ran into the side of a maul, giving away an advantage. Gave Pollard the ability to have a chance, why not? Gave a little grubber kick and a great little finish from Am. It was looked at whether or not he got it. I believe that was a try. I think it would have been very harsh to have given that try against taken away from him, unfortunately. And Pollard managing to get the successful conversion for that one. And then literally from 60 to 70 minutes, my notes are just penalty against Lions, compound errors, handling errors, Sutherland in at the side of the maul, Itoje taking the jumper out in the air. South Africa all over the game, penalties at every single scrum from then on. They won every single line out and pretty much won every single aerial battle. Paulo got another successful conversion from a penalty in the 70th minute, another one in the 72nd minute, another one in the 76th minute. Oh no, sorry, not the 77th, the 76th minute, then another one in the 80th minute. So they just started dominating. In all honesty, that last 10 minutes was just South Africa across the board. Elliot Daly not releasing on the ground. Faletau, who I said before the game, I don't know why Faletau was put in this game instead of Hamish Watson. I saw no impact at all from Faletau coming in. He did nothing that Jack Conan couldn't have carried on doing anyway. Didn't offer any sort of flair. And when you get to see Hamish Watson come on, at least you see him carrying the ball and, they're just not releasing. It was bizarre. It just sort of carried on for the rest of the game, and that game ending, as you see with the scoreboard there, domination, I think, is what you'd call that in that second half. 27 points to 9, and I just think, the Lions really need to look at something here. 21 unanswered points in that second half, and South Africa just dominating, and in all honesty deserved every minute of it. In terms of the man of the match, again, the coverage of this Lions, is it beginning to annoy anyone else? Is Will Greenwood annoying anyone else for some of his commentary? It really begins to drive me, but again, not mentioning the man of the match, I did have a quick look online before this happened. I couldn't find that anywhere either. So for me, Etzebeth, I think, had a really good game for most of the game. De Jager had a real nice impact from the bench, and finally Niakane, solid. As soon as he came on, that scrum just became a demolition derby for the South Africans. They'll be very happy with the impact from him. That bomb squad, as they call it, from South Africa, looking absolutely brilliant. So what can we take away from this game? Well, to me, the Lions absolutely need to work on a new tactic, because, as I said before this game, when I saw the end of the first game, we did the review for the first video, and I think I said that it looked like South Africa had run out of tricks. And in all honesty, I think I'm still going to stick with that. There was nothing really that new in this South African team other than just a real belief and motivation and aggression, whatever you want to call it. The use of the forwards, the 6-2 split on the bench, going back to their roots, using what they saw in the World Cup worked so well for them, just using the forwards and just smashing their way through. There was no real extras that we got to see from them. They just did the first game much, much better in that second half, and the Lions just didn't manage to change from it. There should be some big questions raised. Duhan van der Merwe is just not coping well enough in this game for me personally. I think the defensive element for him has not been great. He hasn't won a single aerial battle in both of these two games combined. He's tripping plays. He's too aggressive on the defence that he does make in terms of the tackle he did on Peter Steph, which could have even been looked at as its own issue there. I think there was an odd choice there. Stuart Hogg struggled under that high ball. I think could have come off much, much earlier in that game. I think someone like Liam Williams in that backfield, in terms of being able to deal with the high ball, would have been a much better advantageous move there. Dan Biggar being taken off from Farrell, even though he did everything perfectly well in that game, because some of the kicking was perfectly okay from him. It was that no one else knew that he was going to kick, so I'm not really sure we can blame him for that one. I don't know why they put Farrell on. Farrell immediately gave penalties away. Dan Biggar was doing much better for me. Conor Murray had little impact on this game compared to Ali Price. I would have much preferred to see Ali Price. The turnaround from the rucks was so much slower. The use of the bench by South Africa was so much better. Every person that came on in this game for the South African bench just seemed to have such an increase into the game. Niakane coming into that scrum, dominating. Seeing De Jager come on, line-out domination. They're just everything they came on, there was purpose and they understood why. And you got to see some of the Lions replacements. Faletau coming on made literally no impact. Farrell gave away penalties apart from one very good kick that he did that sort of found some ground. Tyke Byrne just didn't come on until like the final 3 minutes when they were already 10 points down, as if he was going to somehow manage to change a game. Ken Owens didn't have the best game for me in terms of the hooker position, replaced Luke Cowan-Dickin, immediately switched and just nothing really working for them. Rory Sutherland came on, immediately gave penalties away. This bench and this team, I think, is going to struggle. I think they scraped through that first game a little bit luckily, but they managed to come out on top, did the basics well enough to at least warrant it. This second game for me has shown every crack that's in this Lions team, and everything that I've been saying about the preview videos, everything you guys have been saying down in the comments. Why is this person missing? Why is that person not here? Why have him on the bench not starting? These are the things we're all calling out, and this game has really shown you can't just do the same game twice against a team like South Africa. So it's going to be interesting to see how Game 3 gets on. I think South Africa absolutely deserve this one. That second half from them is the best half, I think, of rugby we've seen on this Lions tournament through the test so far. Really looking forward to see how they get on. It's going to be an interesting tournament. Really looking forward to this final game. But that's going to be it from me today, guys. Make sure you drop down in the comments what you thought of the game, what you thought of the outcome. Did you believe this was just going to be a South African romping? Did you think the Lions were going to manage to hold it for that little bit? I always like reading the comments. I always like reading people's views and thoughts on this. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to drop it a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel. At the time of filming this, we're up to like 980 subscribers. We're so near to that 1,000 marker. So if you are new, feel free to drop down a little subscription there. It's free. It's a little button click, and it really does help the channel. It'd be really nice to get to that 1,000 subscriber marker before the end of this Lions series, if we can do. But I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.